sphere.
The Galactic Council had fought wars for over 1,000,000 years, and in all that time they had learned one sacred truth: war only worked when it was controlled. Every species understood limits, lost thresholds, morale curvis, acceptable sacrifice. They fought until the numbers said stop. Then they negotiated, rebuilt, and called it wisdom. When humans joined the galaxy, the Council assumed they would learn the same lesson. Humans were loud, emotional, and inefficient, but they were clever. Clever species always adapted. No one realized that humanity had already adapted long before it reached the stars. The first conflict began on the fringe of explored space, a minor human colony orbiting a yellow star, with no strategic value. The Krell Dominion wanted it as a forward supply node. They followed protocol, a formal declaration of hostilities, a limited orbital strike, precision bombardment, civilian casualties kept within acceptable margins. The Krell commander was confident. Humans had barely been spacefaring for a few centuries. Their fleets were untested, their doctrine immature. When the Krell opened fire, the human defense fleet responded immediately, but not as expected. Instead of withdrawing after initial losses, human ships pushed forward. Even after hull breaches, even after engine failure, even after communications went dark. Krell analysts flagged the behavior as panic. The Council observers agreed. This was what an inexperienced species looked like under pressure. By the end of the first cycle, humanity had lost more ships than the war models allowed. Council law was clear. At 20% fleet loss, surrender was mandatory. The Council transmitted a ceasefire recommendation to Earth, expecting relief, perhaps gratitude. What they received instead was a short, unemotional response: "We are continuing operations." The Council assumed it was a translation error. It wasn't. The Krell escalated carefully, increasing pressure while staying within legal bounds. Human colonies burned, trade routes collapsed. Population centers were evacuated under fire. The Council waited for the breaking point. It never came. Instead of collapse, human industry accelerated. Civilian manufacturing was converted overnight. Mining ships were refitted into war platforms. Cargo vessels became missile carriers. The losses didn't slow them down, they seemed to fuel them. Council sociologists began to panic. Human morale graphs were behaving incorrectly. Casualties that should have caused unrest instead produced unity. Propaganda that should have failed somehow worked. Entire populations accepted rationing, conscription, and total surveillance without rebellion. Humans were not asking when the war would end. They were asking what more they could give. A Krell officer captured during a boarding action was interrogated by humans. He explained surrender protocols calmly, believing the war was nearing its natural conclusion. The human interrogator listened politely, then asked a single question: "Why would we stop now?" The Krell didn't understand the question. As the war dragged into a second cycle, something unprecedented happened. The Krell began to experience fatigue. Their fleets were damaged. Their crews were exhausted. Their economic models predicted unacceptable long-term losses. This was the point where wars ended. The Krell prepared surrender terms and notified the Council. Human fleets did not disengage. They pushed harder. Human tactics changed. They stopped preserving ships. They stopped rotating crews. They used maneuvers that maximized damage at the cost of survival. Ships were deliberately sacrificed to break enemy formations. Boarding actions continued even after life support failed. When questioned, human commanders gave the same answer every time: if it still moves, it still fights. The Council issued an emergency declaration ordering humanity to cease hostilities. Earth replied with silence. By the third cycle, the Krell Dominion crossed its lost threshold. Der Doctrine demandait Suran, peace. Their commanders transmitted white signals across every channel. For the first time in recorded galactic history, a species surrendered and the war did not stop. Human fleets acknowledged the message, then continued firing. A Krell admiral screamed into open transmission, begging the Council to intervene. They don't recognize victory conditions, he said. They don't stop. A human admiral finally responded, her voice calm, almost tired. You attacked civilians. You destroyed homes. You don't get to decide when this ends. The Krell believed humans were seeking revenge. They were wrong. Humans were seeking finality. The war extended beyond all historical precedent. Council members watched in horror as human forces dismantled Krell infrastructure system by system. Not occupation, not control, removal, shipyards, power grids, data vaults. Every capability that could ever threaten another human world was erased. When the last Krell stronghold fell, there was no celebration, no broadcast of triumph. Human fleets simply turned around and left. The Krell Dominion was gone, not defeated, finished. The Galactic Council convened in emergency session. Their models had failed. Their laws were meaningless. Humanity had not broken the rules. Humanity had never played the same game. They had not fought to win territory or resources or prestige. They had fought to ensure the war would never happen again. A single amendment was added to every military doctrine in the galaxy, written in simple language so no species could misunderstand it. Do not engage humanity in prolonged conflict, because every species has a war limit. Humans don't.